Hey, if you're new to our channel, my name is Stephanie.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome to our open road adventures.
We're doing something a little different today. We got you out here by the river, our favorite place to shoot. If you are new to our channel, we do a lot of creative collaborations. We do some amazing travels and take some great pictures. So if you're into that kind of thing, welcome to the show.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Okay, Multnomah Falls, everybody. They also call this the Historic River Highway, which is very interesting. We actually looked up tallest waterfalls in the U.S., and this popped up as number 3. Some people say number 3, some people say number 4. So whichever way you want to look at that.
So this is an example of how beauty can be right in your backyard. We looked this up and we were shocked to find that it was right on the side of the highway. Of course, we had to do some maneuvering to make it happen because this is, I think it was a national park or a state park.
No, this is national here.
National park. Mm-hmm. So we had to go on the national park website to reserve the time to go in because it's a very popular place. And when we got there, of course, all the slots were full, but I was able to do some finagling and quickly get some information to get a slot for Stephanie, Kai, and I to go inside. So that's why we always encourage you all to don't just look outward, look inward, see where those places are that are close by where you're already going to be, or if not in your backyard.
So know before you go. That's something we did not know before we went, that we needed tickets to actually get in. So on our way down to Crater Lake, we passed by Multnomah Falls, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's right off the highway. I didn't even have a clue that that was the case. But then we realized, hey, we need tickets, and so we were able to get the tickets at that time. So this is a photo you shot, Krishan.
Yes, and it is an example of how you kind of got to use what you have in your tool bag. Mm-hmm. I could have used the wide-angle lens here, but unfortunately I don't have one in my bag where the f-stop goes low enough to work in the low light. So I had to depend on the 70 by 200 because it goes down to a 2.8, and it was able to allow me to get the sharpness I want because I had to keep the f-stop high enough to have the entire shot in focus, but I had to keep it low enough so I got the movement that I wanted to get. So it was kind of a balancing act. I had to play with the low light, the movement of the water, plus trying to get the composition I wanted within the photo.
And as you continue to grow with photography, these are some of the things that you have to learn how to balance, right?
Well, it's just a key. It's really a good thing to happen. It shows me where I need to expand my toolkit to, both my skill set and the things I carry in my bag.
Well, I struggled with this one because I had the 50 millimeter on my camera. And you guys can see how tall the actual waterfall is. It's one of the tallest waterfalls in the United States of America. And I could only get bits and pieces of the fall. I couldn't actually get the whole waterfall inside of the park. So I was able to get it, but we were outside of the parking lot, across the street, way far away.
Now this shot right here, I knew was going to be good when I took it. I mean, there's certain shots that when you take them, you know that they're going to be fantastic in Lightroom. So I was really happy that I was able to get my camera settings in the appropriate place so that I can get the full effect of that amazing shot.
Absolutely. This was a really interesting stop in our vacation, and one that I really thought was really cool. But again, I had a lot of limitations with the lens that I had on my camera. I was able to get, I just pushed my shutter speed way up. And so I was able to get some really cool shots, kind of stopping the water. But as far as the length of the waterfall, there were some challenges there.
Yeah, because the struggle I had was I really wanted to keep my ISO low enough so I wouldn't get a lot of noise. But I wanted to also keep my f-stop between probably a 16 and a 22. Mm-hmm. So I really had to be really careful because I didn't want my pictures to be so dark that I lost a lot of the dynamic colors and imagery that I could pull out and post.
Yeah, so that was like 2 major issues, because some of the waterfall we were getting in the shade, and then some of the waterfall we were getting in the sun. So we had to kind of go back and forth. And then again, the tallness of the waterfall, depending on the lens that you have on your camera, you have to compensate for those types of things. So learning, continuing to learn and continuing to shift.
Yeah, because we have I won't call it a wide angle, but we have the 24 by 105 in our bag. Mm-hmm. But because it's a 4, f4, is the minimum you can get on there. You can't really use it in low light, and we wouldn't have been able to pull shots off like this without having to be able to go to a certain space to compensate for that light.
Right. Did you find that this photo shoot, or this particular stop, did it challenge you?
Absolutely.
Me too.
Not only because of the factors of the elements, but the people.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
you
sure.
you got to understand, people are there. They have their own vision
Agenda.
agenda and
Right.
vision of what they want their day to be. And
Right.
your camera and your photo shoot is not included in their day. So you kind of got to respect their space as well as take advantage of the opportunities that are provided to you. So it's challenging to avoid people, to also deal with the challenges associated with the elements.
Now, this is another photo similar to the photo that we saw earlier. I said it looked a lot like a lightning strike. A bunch of lightning strikes all at once. Can you tell us how you were able to kind of pull those natural effects out in Lightroom?
In Lightroom, what I did, I like to do as much as possible on scene. And so I have very little to do in post. So I was
Okay.
able to get the right settings in my camera. So I just had to adjust the colors a little bit, put a little bit of vignetting on the side to draw the eye to the center. But most of that was done on site with just putting the camera in the right settings.
Got you. Absolutely. And so this right here, this is where we got all the way up. So we walked all the way up. We're not quite at the top, but this is where you saw everybody standing in the beginning of the video. So this is the location where everybody's trying to get to kind of get out on this bridge and stand there and try to get the best photos that they can take. And so
Funny story about this waterfall is we had actually been past here before. We did a cross-country trip about,
yeah.
3 years ago?
Yep.
And we saw this waterfall on the side of the road, but like I say, we weren't taking advantage of the beauty in our backyard, and we just kept going past it, trying to get to our destination. And here we are years later going back to a waterfall that we had the opportunity to see years ago.
I didn't realize that was the one that we had passed on the way over from Kentucky.
I believe it was. I
Okay.
mean, when I think back on it, I don't think there are many waterfalls
Well, I
of
was gonna
this
say.
size on the side of the highway. So if I had to,
I was thinking that
I'm making an assumption, but I think this is the waterfall we passed 3 years ago.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, not every day are you on an interstate and you see a waterfall.
Not of this size.
No, not at this time. Another salute to the West Coast, of the Pacific Northwest, is just a natural beauty, just like right around everyday things like the interstate, which is pretty cool. You're not going to see anything like this out east or down south. So I do feel like that's what makes the West unique.
Yeah, and if there are some places out east and down south, put them in the comments. We'd love to come out there and check them out. We're just saying that we haven't seen them.
Right. Well, Waterfall anyway. I'm sure there are also pretty nice things out there. Yeah,
I've seen some amazing places. I think Lookout Mountain was pretty nice.
Oh, yeah,
as
that
well,
was really
in
nice.
Appalachian.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a must-see if you guys have not been to Multnomah Falls. And I might be mispronouncing that, but it's a consensus among residents that live here that is how you pronounce it, Multnomah Falls. It definitely is a must-see. And it was really inexpensive. I think our tickets were only like $5 a piece. So
if that, I
yeah,
mean,
really
I think it's
inexpensive.
just really there just as a slight barrier to keep the crowds down, because I think that our society is going to a place now where they really are trying to do put a maximum effort forth to preserve these sites, and they're trying to make sure they limit it to where there's not so many people out there that they're ruining that natural habitat.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that guy running down the hill just now when we were in the video, and I was thinking, I was like, oh, I wonder what he's running from. Hope everything's all right.
Speaking of that,
Because he was getting it, wasn't he?
speaking of that, pro tip: this is not a very accessible thing, so make sure you do your research before you go.
Absolutely.
Well, we are so happy you joined us today on our open road adventure. And remember, do something nice for someone today, and you can do it.
And don't forget, we're just ordinary people trying to do extraordinary things.
I love it.